What's that? Yeah. No, I mean, is it that bad though? Yeah, you're way more handsome than the bear. I mean, really? Is that what you want me to say? What's that? Oh, hey. Didn't see you there, guys. What's up? Got a review for you that I think you might want to check out. It's called Imaginary. Just hit theaters. It's by Blumhouse and Lionsgate, and yeah, let's talk about it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of Imaginary that just hit theaters, and I just got out of the theater to see. And boy, do I have some thoughts on this one. First up, I want to explain why I wanted to see this movie, because I think it will help to better paint the picture for you and help you understand why I was interested in seeing this movie. One, I wanted to see it because I felt like it was going to be a movie that was going to ride the fence a little bit for a lot of people, because it is such an out there idea. I think the trailer kind of plays on your imagination where you may think it might go rather than where it actually went. And two, I just like weird movies about people who are into imaginary friends, because there's something inherently dark about somebody, a kid or somebody else, who is talking to something that isn't there, be it a ghost, their psychological issues, or what's that? An imaginary friend, like Mr. Picklestick. Thanks, bud. Anyway, the story is essentially about a stepmother who has fallen in love with this man who has two children, a 15-year-old and a younger, like 5-year-old girl. And the stepmother decides that they're going to move as a family unit into her old childhood home, where her father used to live before he lost his mind. And when they get there, the youngest finds a teddy bear that soon becomes her new imaginary friend named Chauncey. Things start to get a lot worse as you start to see the past unravel itself into the future. And not only is this teddy bear a very real entity, but it's very unhappy that she left the house without him. She's abandoned him. This movie is directed by Jeff Wadlow, who he has done writing and directing. He did the movie Truth or Dare. There was also Fantasy Island, which he also wrote and directed, which is a Blumhouse film as well. A wide catalog of different movies that he's written as well. And this is his newest feature film. Going into that, knowing that, I was kind of like, well, I'm not going to expect too much, but let's hope for the best, because I'm always up for a creepy tale of imaginary friends. So I went into this with low expectations and just hoping that it would be good, like maybe other imaginary friend horror movies that I've seen in the past. And unfortunately, this is not one of them. The cast in this movie does a fairly decent job, but unfortunately, the story is where this movie really lacks. The dialogue in this film does things in it that kind of expect the viewer to just get on with it. Don't ask questions, just shut up and let's get to the good stuff, will you? Like it's barreling past you down the hall, telling you we don't have time to explain it, the world's ending, let's go kind of attitude. In fact, this movie feels like it's just placing you in a sequel of a movie that you never saw before. And you know, the strange thing about it all is that for a movie that's about imagination, it doesn't really leave anything for the scares to make you imagine or to build up that mystery and that scare to you. There are quite a few jump scares, but you'd think for a movie that has imaginary in the title that they would sort of let you run wild with your imagination. And this one just kind of feels like this is somebody else's imagination and they're telling you what to imagine rather than you experiencing that world. The teddy bear isn't exactly scary either, although there are moments in the film that they use practical effects that you've probably seen in the trailer. Now, that's not to say that there isn't some cool art style and practical effects that they do in that. I really admire that about this film. In fact, there is moments in this film that reminded me of like Hellraiser and Freddy. from A Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, it wears its nostalgia on its sleeve in those regards, and even has an Elm Street Easter egg in the film that you'll have to find for yourself. But don't expect that kind of movie, okay? I appreciate the creature effects. I appreciate some of the stuff that they did in this film. There are some cool things that they tried to do that I was interested in and was hoping by the last half of the movie, where this movie takes you, that it was going to fix all of the errors before it. But unfortunately, this movie doesn't do that. There's more than just practical and, good set design and things like that. The story really kind of has to kind of work with it in a way. And I feel like it was just kind of dragging all the good bits behind it because it was in too much of a rush to be a sequel than it was a story that you would enjoy and relate to. Now, the cast in this film is pretty decent. I like DeWanda Wise. She does what she can with the source material that she was given, because unfortunately this movie has a story problem and a dialogue problem where it forces the characters to say and do things as if you've already known them. Just accept whatever it is that they have to tell you. This movie asks a lot of the viewer, even though it starts off with a bang right in the beginning with like an old memory or something that happened in the past. It quickly gets very boring and hung up in some sort of family environment that is far too melodramatic for my particular taste. Just way too much. It's very heavy-handed in the melodrama. And when they move into the stepmother's old house and she finds the bear, suddenly things take a turn for the worst. Other people are starting to experience things and, the typical tropes that you would expect from a movie. Now, the problem with this movie is that it just sort of expects you to understand and accept the things that it's telling you without making the viewer go through the experience to figure it out themselves. It's sort of doling it out, saying, this is it, like almost as if you were being told by somebody what the first movie was about, and they're just like, yeah, well, this happened, and then this happened, and yeah, just, you get it. It feels like this movie is like you're being dropped into a sequel of a franchise without it really kind of going over the important bits to make you feel invested in either the characters or the storyline. The characters in the movie just sort of accept things like unnaturally. They use different excuses to rationalize some very irrational things. There was a moment in the film where I just started cracking up, laughing out loud. Christina and I both were crying tears of laughter because of something they said that was to write off an experience that they had that would prove that all of this isn't just a ruse, or the child being whatever it is, or whatever the situation is with this teddy bear. There is just too many moments in the film where characters just suddenly decide to change their mind. Something that they would have to like literally sit and like kind of deal with. And the movie doesn't take you through those steps. It's just like, I've changed my mind. And one really weird decision after another. The future comes together with the past, and then what is happening with this imaginary friend? It's a patchwork of different ideas that don't work together. And unfortunately, the movie has a lot more wrong with it than it does good. And I wish that I could give this a more positive score, but it's just one of those movies that isn't going to resonate with a lot of people. I think it had good intentions, and I think there are some good ideas tucked into this movie, but I don't think it was enough to save this film overall. It's just a big disappointment for me. And you may find a younger audience that might appeal to this, and that's not why I didn't like this film. It's not because it was like, oh, it should have been rated R or something like that. No, it's really the dialogue. And maybe someone younger might resonate with that material a little bit better because they're not paying attention to it and just want the goods. But if you are paying attention to the story, it really just kind of begs too much of you. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to resonate with anybody that is paying attention. There is a twist in the movie, but it really just didn't have any impact because a lot of the characters you don't really necessarily feel for. They just rush you through these situations that you're just supposed to care about. I almost feel like they were building this movie so that they could do a prequel before it, so that they could cover up the reasons why they didn't answer a lot of questions in this film. There are literally things that have happened to these characters that would have been a actual addition to the story that they just have completely left out and just ask you to deal with. And that is just a big no-no to me. They never even answer them in the movie. They just sort of say, oh, well, this happened. We're not going to tell you why or make you go through exactly what it was specifically so that you can relate with that character. We're just going to tell you it, and you're just going to have to accept it. Instant sequel. But I don't know. Maybe there's some people out there that'll like it more than me. I still have faith that Blumhouse can pull out some good movies. I just don't think it was for me at all. Personally, I would give this movie a 4 out of 10, and I think that's being fair. It may even go lower because of what it did in this film. You'll see what I mean when you watch this movie. You won't be able to place your finger on it, and then you will start rolling your eyes at moments in the film, and that's when you realize that you're like, oh, okay, this is getting out of hand. But, everyone's different. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe button and the little bell notification to let you know when I got a brand new film coming up. Thanks for coming by, and as always, what's that? Long live the void.